This is an audio-visual study guide for Chapter 16 of Dana Harris's Introduction to Biblical Greek Grammar. So imperfective aspect indicates that an action is ongoing, continuous, or progressing. The action is viewed internally from inside the event, watching the action unfold. Heightened proximity, there's a typo there, but is an aspectual approach to Greek verbs wherein the perfect tense form presents an action from a closer, either temporal or spatial point of view. So you've got imperfective aspect and heightened proximity with the perfect tense form. Heightened remoteness, an aspectual approach to Greek verbs wherein the pluperfect tense form presents an action from a more remote, either temporal or spatial point of view. So the pluperfect is also imperfective in its aspect, but it's got heightened remoteness instead of heightened proximity. Reduplication. The perfect and pluperfect use reduplication, which is a unique indicator of these tenses. Part of a root or stem is repeated, usually the doubling of an initial consonant and the insertion of an epsilon. So we see here in how to create the perfect active tense, you've got reduplication, lambda epsilon, plus the perfect active tense stem, lu, perfect tense stem formative, which is kappa alpha, ka, primary active personal ending, men, which results in the inflected form leilu kamen. And you see there reduplication, leilu. A reduplication for the middle is also lay, middle tense stem also lu, primary middle personal ending, metha, inflected form leilu metha. So you see reduplication there, which is part of the perfect and pluperfect morphology. Remember the predictable morphological changes when some consonants combine. This results in things like phanero'o becoming ephaneroomai, therapuo becoming tetherapumai, chorizo becoming kechorizomai. With double consonants and consonant clusters and the sibilant zeta and epsilon prefixes to the perfect tense stem, and no consonant is reduplicated. Recognize that the prefix epsilon indicates reduplication and not the augment. So that's something you have to be clear on. Whenever you see a prefix epsilon, you need to be able to recognize this is reduplication, not the augment. So Zeraino becomes exeramai, no becomes egnoka, tizo becomes ectisomai, or excuse me, ectismai. If a perfect tense stem begins with a vowel, then the initial vowel lengthens. This is called vocalic reduplication. So hamartano becomes hemarteka. But if the verb stem begins with a diphthong, there's often no visible reduplication. Eurisco becomes eureka, no visible reduplication. Some verbs evidence what's called attic reduplication, which the first syllable of the stem is double. Akuo, arkekoa. The presence of the tense formative ka, kappa alpha, will help you recognize the perfect active indicative. Reduplication in the absence of ka, kappa alpha will help you recognize the perfect middle passive. The presence of the tense formative k will help you recognize the pluperfect. So this is really key for recognizing the forms because so you don't need to memorize all these reduplication patterns, but you do need to understand them so that you can recognize reduplication. And the reduplication in the absence of ka is going to help you recognize the perfect middle and perfect passive. And then the tense formative k is going to help you recognize the pluperfect. This makes it so that you don't have to memorize the pluperfect paradigm. That's it for chapter 16. You need to be able to understand these concepts and parse perfect and pluperfect verbs and translate sentences in which